This is an introduction to what you need to do in general training for Task 1 writing. These are some pre-writing tips, things you should be doing before you write any general training Task 1 question in IELTS. So first of all, we need to highlight the keywords in the question. We need to consider synonyms, referencing, substitution, tense, and some other things as well, which we'll discuss right now. The first thing is to notice a question. Let's have a look at this question right here. So before I start, we see that the question is about a mobile phone that you've left in your cafe. So you need to write an email to the cafe. You're asking if they have your phone. IELTS will always give you 3 parts of the question. You see the 3 parts here now. There's lots of W questions: when, where, what, how. So we need to consider who you're writing to first of all. Is this a formal one or informal? This is very important because if it's formal, we're going to use different language. We're going to be very formal in the language we use. We're not going to use abbreviations. We're going to use words like I am. We're going to be very polite with inquiries or requests or whatever the question asks you to do. Also, when we finish the essay, we want to finish it nice and formally as well. So there's a couple of examples of language that we would think about using if you're writing to someone formal. Pause the video now and consider what kind of language might you need if you are writing an informal letter. So really we see here that it's the opposite. Instead of a dear, we're going to say hi, just say your name. Of course, you won't be introducing yourself in an informal letter. Usually it's to a friend. So in an informal letter, you certainly would not introduce yourself. However, in a formal letter, you might introduce yourself. Again, notice the abbreviations that they are using in an informal letter. You should use abbreviations in an informal letter. It's asking you to write to your friend, so it's fine to use words like I'm, I've, I'd for I had or I would like to. And also in terms of the salutation at the start and the finish, much more informal. So don't write yours sincerely when they ask you to write to a friend. Another thing to consider is the different tenses. Each of the different parts in the question may require a different tense. As we see here, that the first part of this question requires you to write in the past. The second part is asking you to describe what your phone looks like. So that's the present. And then finally, they're asking, it's what we call a call to action in the final bit. So that is the future. And quite often the final part of an IELTS General Training Task 1 question will be asking you to do something or asking you to write and tell the other person to do something. That will often be in the future. So make sure you've practiced future tenses and how you can use the future. Another thing to consider is that those 3 parts are often following this pattern. So the first question is setting the scene, where, when, and who is involved. And then the second bit is about what happened. And then the final bit is this call to action, encouraging the other person to do something. I hope you found that helpful. The next video will look at what different types of questions you might get for General Training Task 1.